It's punchy, it's gritty, it's atmospheric. What more do you want? I mean, really. That's it. That's the video. I will see you guys next time. I'm joking, obviously. I finally got to play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 after 6 years of waiting after the first trailer. It's finally come out. I got it on day one. I pre-ordered it. I love it. To make a long story short, I love it. I would like to just talk to you about my sort of first impressions of the game. This isn't a review. This isn't a recommendation of like, should you try it, should you, shouldn't, should you not. Just want to talk about it. Just want to get it off my chest because it's on there and it's heavy and I want to talk about it. I will just set this premise. This is just my opinion about what I think about the game. I urge you, if you're going to take anything from this video, play the game yourself before you decide what you want to do based on what I say. I'm just talking about it. I'm just excited. That's all this is. It's a great time of year to play it. You know, we're nearly at Halloween. It's a spooky game. It's got spooky vibes. Leaves are falling down outside. It is fall for you Americans, and it is autumn for the rest of the world. If the look of the game isn't for you, or you want to wait till it's on sale, go for it. Whatever works. You know, each their own. I don't give a shit. Also, pre-warning, right now, alarm going off. This will contain some light spoilers, non-story spoilers, just, you know, clips and bits and bobs that I do. If you want to keep it as a surprise, then, you know, you've been warned. This game is everything that I wanted it to be, but, you know, basically, it's not too intense, it's not too in-depth where it takes you forever to work out what the controls are and who's doing what and why. It's a right level. It's not too shallow, it's not too deep, you know, it's nice. You can just kind of dip your toes in if you want to, or you can jump in the deep end. It's up to you. But either way, the pool's a nice level. The pool is fine. I've played a couple of hours so far. I've seen like the majority of one class of abilities. I've seen the combat. I've seen some dialogue. I've seen some characters. I've seen the map. You know, space level stuff. I'm not too far in yet. I don't really have many story spoilers. I've met a few of the main characters that you'd seen in like the trailers that have just gone past. First thing I kind of noticed was obviously it does cut a few kind of key things out of the first game had that this one doesn't. Unless I've missed it, there's no journal select for a quest, which is kind of an interesting choice. I don't mind it because you've always got your objective on the screen. It's not an issue, and you can have like side quests, and maybe that'll alter if you have more quests. But for me, at the moment, at the start, you have a quest objective, and you just go to it. There's no journal entry. There's a codex that tells you everything about everything you find, so you've got loads of lore to read up if that's your thing. But in terms of an actual like journal where you track your quest objective. And again, unless I've missed it, it's not on there. It's kind of weird, but I don't, you know, who gives a shit? Obviously, the fact that it has cut some things out of the first game, that's upset some people. And understandably, some of the features were quite cool that aren't in the new one. But, you know, the game itself, still standalone, minding its own business, is just fine. It does let you get into things nice and easily. It kind of establishes the power of your character really quickly. You wake up as Fire, who is an elder vampire who's been asleep for however long. I can't quite remember what they said. And it establishes how strong you are quite quickly. You kind of wake up, some security guard nudges you on the noggin, and you munch him, basically. You have your din-dins, and then you get up and kind of go, what the fuck is going on? And you walk out, and then his mate comes out into the hall, and just to kind of show how powerful you are, he's like, I mean, weirdly, he just attacks you, which is kind of an interesting thing to do as a security guard, but here we are. And you just fucking thump him across the hall. He doesn't stand a chance. He's dead on impact. No stress. Easy peasy. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is pretty fucking cool. Because, you know, who doesn't want to be a vampire that just punches humans across the hall? Especially in a game like this. It's perfect. So, you know, is what it is. From what I've heard so far, the voice acting is pretty crisp. I've met a few characters. Obviously, you play as Fire, who I believe is from Constantinople. You have a vampire in your head, a voice in your head, who belonged to a guy called Fabian. And he was a Malkavian. A Malkavian, a little bit, you know, mentally challenged, is how I'll describe it. And his dialogue and his script and the way he reads it has come across really nicely. Kind of sells that, you know, he's a little bit rattly around in the old cage. But the voice acting from all the characters I've seen so far is really good. You've got Lou Ram, who's given Lady what's a 7 foot tall big booby face called from Resident Evil, given those kind of vibes. And from what I've seen from that as well, you've got Tolly, who's a very, very quirked up Nosferatu, which is an interesting choice. I mean, I've only met one Nosferatu in the first game, which was Bertram Tongue, and he was a bit gritty, a little bit gross looking. Tolly's a jolly old fella. I'm sure it's not everyone's cup of tea, but you know, you're in 2024 Seattle. You get to choose your clan fairly early on. You have like a bit of a tutorial bit, and then you sort of go to a safe house, I suppose you can call it, and you get to choose your clan. I went with La Sombra because, you know, freaky edgelord. whatever the fuck that means, which I was really happy with. The abilities are cool. You know, you command shadow and stuff. You're sneaky, you're beaky. You got fucking tentacles that come out of the ground and grab people, multiple people apparently, which I didn't realise. I didn't realise halfway through a combat encounter that you can grab multiple people, which basically blocks off a fight, and you can kind of nail the people you're after, which is really cool. You can, as far as I understand it, you can use the abilities of other clans, but I think they have a slightly higher like purchase cost of ability points. I guess in a sense, it's so it encourages you to kind of follow your clan's path first before you start branching out. But I imagine there's probably going to be all sorts of ways that you can get around that. The character customization itself is fairly minimal, but it's very nicely stylized. I quite like the vibe of it. You do have more to choose from than the original game. I would kind of argue, in a way, maybe around the same. I'm not too sure. I've kind of just seen of the clothing in the original game, not so much done it myself. But as far as I understood from the original game, you had like 4 or 5 outfits per character, depending on which clan you were. And you kind of have that here, but you can use it, I think, across clans. You just have to unlock it in the game first. But I did see people complaining that it was a downgrade, which at the time I didn't really understand. You know, you can choose hairstyles. I think it's like 4 or 5 hairstyles, and then a load of colours of them. You can choose your eyes, you can choose your piercings, and you can choose your makeup and your like actual outfit as well. So there's some bits and bobs. You know, there's enough to kind of tweak characters, make them look cool if you really kind of go into it. Obviously, I was the Sombra, so I just chose black hair, piercings, fucking edgy dark makeup. Just went for the whole hog, as it were. The map does seem a little smaller than what I've seen out of the original game. You do seem to be kind of confined to a little area of Seattle. But I will say, which I do think it does better, obviously, than the original game. Obviously, the original game had lots of different maps. You can go to like downtown, LA, and all this other stuff, which was really, really cool. I like the changing setting. What's really cool about this is you've got a lot of verticality. You can scale the walls like a little fucking spider, and you can then glide across the street, so you don't even have to pay attention to people if you don't want to. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing on the roofs. As far as I know, there's nothing on the roofs. It just seems like you have a few like interactions and quest markers and collectibles and stuff, which you like absorb off the wall because someone smeared your blood on the wall. I'm sure they said, and you just suck it back in because that's how that works. Or you know, you can drop down to the street, and if you want to go lurking up to people and chat away and then go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like,
I bet you enjoy being handled. You're fucking crazy!
Then you can do that. That is a full option. You can talk to, I think, pretty much any civilian, and you kind of have to match up what they say. So you detect blood resonances, which is like types of blood that you need to collect, and basically you'll talk to them and they'll say something like, oh man, I fucking hate this town, and then you can react in a similarly angry way, and they'll be like, yeah, I agree with you, I'm going to follow you into a dark alley. Or you do what I do and find this really, really horny lady, and you take her off the street and you suck her in a back alley.
We should make each other into art.
Perfect. Let's make this a night to remember.
10 out of 10. Sometimes it's another thing. Sometimes like someone tries to rob you or mug you, and then they just chase you and you run past policemen and the policemen don't do anything. They just watch the man come chasing after you until you eventually lead him into a back alley and suck him too. Speaking of back alley suckings, the combat is really, really good. Bet you didn't see that segue coming, did you? I like the combat. It's very punchy. It's very snappy. The combos are really, really cool. You get a real like oomph feeling when you hit someone. I'm sure if my mouse could vibrate, I would feel it. I don't know what the controller play is like, but I'm sure it's fantastic. All the chains are really nice. You have like you have basic combat, which is just your light and your heavy attack. And you have your advanced combat, which is your kicks and your slides and your bitch slaps and your fucking all sorts of other things. The powers come into combat really nicely. They all weave into the kind of combos really, really well, especially from what I've seen of La Sombra, being able to use the tendrils to freeze people or disappear into your shadow and reappear out of somebody else's and then just clock them on the head. That's pretty cool too. Your telekinesis, that's a really nice touch. I mean, I don't know if I've ever played a game where I don't enjoy using magic to grab something. Like the Skyrim Vampire with the vampiric grip. I saw a lot of complaints before it released saying people can't use guns. And I say use lightly because you can use guns, but your character doesn't pick them up. They use telekinesis, and then with their mind, they go, shoot the bitch. And then the gun fires, and then you then throw the empty gun. Now, obviously, that's a creative decision. Because in the original game, you had an inventory, and you could pick up weapons, and you could keep weapons, and you could use weapons. So this is obviously a bit of a creative decision. Now, I kind of like it. However, I do know that lots of people don't like it. Now, I get why, because objectively, it's kind of a downgrade. You know, you have an inventory, and now you don't. Which is, you know, it's fine, but I get why people are like, what the fuck. Now, creatively, I quite like the whole gun thing, because at one point you're talking to, if you go through the optional dialogue with the Malkavian Fabian in your noggin, you say like, oh, what's going on in 2024? Because you've been kipping for however many hundreds of years, or however long it is. So you've not really seen guns, and obviously it's America, so there are guns everywhere. And obviously then that sets up the premise for, why would you waste time learning how to pick up and use a gun and aim with a gun when you could just use your fucking snazzy mind powers just to go then you're done. You don't have to worry about it then. But that's dividing the audience quite a bit, and there's been I saw a lot of comments on my last video. There was a lot of comments on my last video about the gun thing. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think running out of bullets and twanging an empty revolver at some poor fella's bonce is always going to be really fun to me. So, each their own, you know. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, you like it. Whichever works. Overall, from what I've seen of it so far, this is a very, very happy addition to the franchise for me. It feels like I can really kind of hop in and out as and when I need to. I'm not going to be swamped with, like, tooltips reminding me how to play or being lost as to where I got in the story. It's nicely paced. It's nicely explained. You know, you can put in the extra time to read the extra dialogue, or you can skip it. I don't think it really matters. The game just flows nicely. It's not overly complex. It's got just enough depth for me, but again, that's completely subjective. So what is fine for me might be nowhere near enough for some people, and what is way too much for some people might not be nearly enough for some fella who wants an entire backstory about why his character's hair is blonde. If you are wondering in terms of issues, if I found any at all, which basically I haven't really, there's been a couple moments where sometimes the facial animations, when you're talking to somebody, they kind of freeze up temporarily. But that's something that firstly would probably be fixed in a very, very simple patch. And secondly, it's so insignificant that if they don't fix it, it is no hair off my sack. So other than that, I would say there's optimization issues. I don't know if there is, because I don't know how good my PC really is. I've got it working, I have 60 frames, and I have most of the things turned up to high. I've not had to use DLSS, really. But I'm no technician. I don't really know what any of that means. So sometimes there's some frame drops, but again, that's probably my issue, not the game's issue. I'm sure the finer details of my thoughts will alter as I play further and further into the game. If there is one thing I would like you to take away from this video, is I would want you to play. If you're umming and ahhing about getting it, get it. Who gives a shit? You know, it's, because, you know, cost-wise, what is it, 60 quid? So, you know, 20 meal deals or the game. It's not a bad trade, although I do fucking love a meal deal. Yeah, I think get it, play it, see what you think. I'll definitely be playing some more. Content-wise, I might make a little something. I don't really know what yet, because I've already seen everything plastered everywhere. IGN was just shitting out videos left, right and centre about it, and I was like, oh fuck, there goes all my ideas. But, you know, I might make a little something. So if you enjoy seeing Vampire the Masquerade content, then maybe subscribe and you'll see some more. If you don't like Vampire the Masquerade, or you're not playing it, then you could still subscribe anyway, because I might have something outrageous to say in the future, or I might just give you something to watch when you eat your dinner. So, nice quick video. I hope you guys are enjoying the game if you're playing it. If not, then play something else. I don't give a shit. Bearing all that in mind, come and watch my next video when I take more civilians into back alleys and I suck them dry.
By the way, I've never let these thoughts